It's the end of June, which of course means Pride Month is coming to an end. One of the biggest culture war controversies this year was, of course, this paid sponsorship deal between Bud Light and a transgender influencer named Dylan Mulvaney. It caused huge backlash. We talked about it a number of times on DBL. There was boycotts, people shooting up cases of beer, and the brand losing billions of dollars in value. But now Dylan is breaking her silence. In an Instagram video, Dylan said that all that backlash resulted in more bullying and transphobia than she ever could have imagined. She also revealed she never once heard back from the company. Take a listen.
For months now, I've been scared to leave my house. I have been ridiculed in public. I've been followed. And I have felt a loneliness that I wouldn't wish on anyone. If this is my experience from a very privileged perspective, know that it is much, much worse for other trans people. For a company to hire a trans person and then not publicly stand by them is worse, in my opinion, than not hiring a trans person at all, because it gives customers permission to be as transphobic and hateful as they want. And the hate doesn't end with me. It has serious and grave consequences for the rest of our community.
Al, what do you think about what Dylan had to say?
It tracks, because I don't think Bud Light was trying to get into a culture war. I think Bud Light was trying to sell a couple extra cans of Bud Light. In the late 50s, beer companies started advertising in black publications, Jet, Ebony, that kind of thing. And I'm sure that there were meetings ahead of time, like, we're going to get some backlash from this. And they had to be, forthright, like, we're going to stay here no matter what people say. And obviously, now it's something people don't think about. I think Bud Light should have had those same meetings, but I don't think they were prepared for this. I don't think they took how divisive this issue is. And what we saw was a company that was caught totally flat-footed. They had no response. When they did, it was fumbling and embarrassing, and ultimately they just backed away, leaving everybody feeling alienated and maybe permanently damaging their brand.
Right. Dylan Mulvaney did not go to Bud Light and say, hey, I have a great idea for a campaign.
Right.
She didn't go and say, hey, why don't you make these limited edition cans on my behalf in order for me to show them to my demographic? These were all the ideas that were thought of by the team of Bud Light. And when Dylan Mulvaney received heat, they treated Dylan Mulvaney like it was just another ad thing. Like, well, this isn't working, so let's just go and move on to another thing.
Instead of her being a human being?
She's a human being.
A marginalized
and
human
also,
being?
And on top of it, and when I think about marginalized human beings in this country and beyond, the idea of empathy is just amazing when you have that much grace under fire, because let's be very clear, Dylan Mulvaney has been attacked for ever since this thing exploded, and before that, just to be clear, as a trans woman. But she had the forethought and the empathy to say, I'm saying this from my position of privilege. So she's acknowledging her privilege and how her being the actual target of all of this transphobia is affecting people who don't benefit from those same resources in her community. And I think that is the most powerful thing about it. But Bud Light, yeah, it was a performative allyship, and everybody should be paying attention to what happened, because if you want to do it this way, you need to have some sort of course of action, and to Al's point.
They had nothing.
Well said.